as you saw at the end of the last video, the bike is together. I actually rode it around the yard. Clutch, everything seems to be working great. The brakes work great. I'm actually pretty happy with it coming together. It cleaned up real well. The plastics still have a few little issues that I could probably polish out, but I mean, this is an off-road bike. This is a cheap build. So one of the things that I did spend some extra money on was the headlight setup, and I wanted a fairing. I have a windshield on my T-Dub. I really like the way it just breaks the wind off your chest, and so I think this is going to do that for us. And this is off of one of the KTM adventure bikes. You can get. I got this from eBay for, man, I want to say it was like 170 bucks. 180 bucks, and it was one of the biggest expenditures I had on for this bike. But I just wanted something different. It was actually, this was cheaper than buying the new front stuff that came with it from the factory, being that I was going to have to buy the support for the headlight, the surround, all that stuff, a new instrument cluster. So I talked about it before. We do have a new trail tech to put on this. So what my plan is, we got a mess of wires that we're going to have to hide too. Not hide, but we'll find a nice, pleasant home for them. And let's get this. I got to get some bolts. It came with nothing but this. When you buy this, it comes with this. It came with no wiring, no wire harness or no diagram. I figured it out how this works. It has each beam is a high and a low. So this is high and low, and this is high and low, so you'll be able to run both of them. And it bolts in here, floats in there about like that. So what I need to do is get some bolts, nuts, some spacers, get this set in its home, and then we'll get this set up level and just kind of prop it in place. Let's see if we can get a plan for where we want it, how we want it, and how it's going to look. As a lot of you probably do, I use shop rags, or t-shirts, old t-shirts as shop rags, piled a bunch in there, holding it up here. I put a level on the light back there so I know it's sitting right. Then I've got, this way I can get some measurements here, that I'm going to be able to get a measurement right here and a measurement from there to the frame. And so once we have those measurements, we kind of have a starting point. So I can sit down, do some drawing, because I like to do drawings, and put this all. We'll make. You know what? Instead of doing cardboard aiding design, I think I'm going to build this out of wood, like some wood flat panel. So then that way I have a structure to actually hold it and test it out. We've drawn this up here. I'll bring you in to get you a close up of this. And actually, let's just do that now. Bring you in. Use my pointer thing to kind of show you what I've done, why I've done that, to be able to get this mounted the way I want to. What we've done here is I just kind of sketched out, this is the part, the windscreen. The light is right here in it, rough sketch. Then the forks and the arc of the fender, I measured from the top of the fender to the base of the light. Then I measured from the lower peak to the mounting bracket. This little bracket, right? This is the mounting bracket that we're going to be using. I measured to that. Then I took some detailed measurements of these holes on the side of the light. This is what mounts the light right there. And the light has to sit at an angle in relative, because those pod lights, one sits like this and the other is inset a little bit like this, which gives the pod light its shape. So then you have a mounting hole here and then one over here. So that's what these are. This squiggly mess is all of a bunch of measurements I've taken. So the first thing I'm going to build are two of these little brackets right here to be able to mount this. And I will make them bigger than need be so we can put these mounted onto the light. Had to measure where these handlebars turn. So I kind of floated this in free space with my hands, turned the handlebars to make sure that it cleared the lights and everything that I have mounted up. So let's get this all designed onto this piece of wood. We'll get it cut out and see if it actually will do what we want. One of the major problems if you ever try to prototype something, which I've had the luck of having a few jobs where I had to, is trying to get something to occupy 3D space and float. So you come up with some interesting riggings. We have that there for me to get my measurements. And then, let's see, this. Oh, don't move it. Oh, I moved it. Dadgummit. It's hard to do one-handed. To get my measurements back right and get this thing sitting level the way it's supposed to. Back up. There we go. But trust me, it's on there. So now we can get our measurements from here, like what we're going to do here to get to there. I think I'm going to put a bar across here that'll be welded on, and then bring it down to this one. And then here, I haven't decided yet. I'd like to go up to this area like this, so it's somewhat multi-connected, and then I'll come from here to here. So that way it gives some triangulation in the bottom and then some structural integrity up top, because you got to remember it has to clear. I can't turn the steering wheel or the handlebars now. Yeah, I did say steering wheel. I can't turn the handlebar because it's connected to the handlebars, but that's going to give me a gist of where it's going to sit on the bike. Oh, fire! Yeah. Don't leave your shop rags. Don't leave your shop rags on your plasma table. The only issue we have is that should have plunged from the other side like I did that one. And that whole thing would have come off a lot easier, but we'll cut that, grind all the slag and stuff off of it, and I think I got to bend it a little bit. I've got the main part of the mount built. I've built this really probably beefier than I needed to, but this is a bike that's designed for off-road, and I definitely want it to be strong enough to, well, basically hold everything in place. So it's made out of 1/4-inch steel. It's got a little bit of heft to it. Don't think it'll make that big a difference on the bike. I did make some holes in it and cut out where I could to make it more of like a skeleton structure. And I'll bring you in and let you have a look at this here shortly. I need to cut these off at an angle, and then I'm going to weld a plate. Definitely not this thick, but I'm going to weld a plate here to be able to mount my Trail Tech on. So we'll make the base plate for the Trail Tech, get it welded on, and this deal here, we can go ahead and design the mounts for the windshield too. As you see, it doesn't sit directly on there like that. It actually has to float a little bit above that. Don't know what the original setup was, but I'm thinking that it must have had like a piece of plastic or something in between. So we will design something for that. Maybe some rubber isolators just to isolate that a little bit. And the same down here. There's little pockets that I don't think I'm going to be able to use. So I'll make some spacers that fit inside there. Maybe like, once again, like a rubber dampener or something like that. And that way we can isolate the windshield from vibrations from the bike. But we'll see how this goes and get this little bracket design there. Cut this off at an angle so the Trail Tech can sit right here. And we'll get it sanded so we're ground down the ground. Ooh, I can't even talk this morning. Ground down smooth and bolted on the bike. Let's take this over to the workbench and see what we can do with it. I'm working with the old Trail Tech just so I don't mangle up the new one. As you see, I also have protection on this lens because of grinding and sparks and whatnot, but this is going to live right up here. So what we need to do is I've marked right here where I want to put those lines. Right here. So I need to mark that on the other side too. From the top, we're going to go 20 millimeters from here. And we will mark this 20 millimeters. And then the corner. Millimeter sticks down. I want to wipe that off there. And what's important also, you can see how, like I said, how these were a bit overbuilt, but it's definitely overbuilt. I could have made these a lot thinner. Probably could have made the whole thing. This is what I had, and I went through all of my scrap bin, not buying metal for this. This is a budget build, so this will be definitely strong enough. But I've got this piece come off of something. We'll have to grind this coating off of it. But what I want to do here is make sure that this is the right distance and give ourselves just a little bit of wiggle room. So I need it not as tight as it can be. We'll loosen this up just a touch. I did make adjustments in this so I can adjust the headlights if need be. You can see there. So say that's probably close to where we want it. It does fit in there now. Okay, that's the gap we need. Now, that was supposed to be 100 millimeters. Okay, we cut those off there. Let's see where we are here. Outside edges. I think what I'm going to do is make it just a touch shorter so I can weld it on and then have that lip. I did cut this off too. Have the lip sit like right there and weld on the heavier metal, and it'll just melt into this instead of trying to basically fight that. So that means the Trail Tech will sit right there, right where I want it. That'll be perfect. Perfection. So to be in between those two, we're at, call it 108. This is going to be 108. Here's the mount that they want you to use. It sits in there like so. Mounts to one side of your handlebars. Obviously not using that. Our next deal is we need to make it, get the measurements off of this. Going to be, call it 35 millimeters. All right. Let's check and see. Always double check it. Remember, these gauges are really hard to get exactly what you want. Look close enough. All right, we'll leave the line there. Okay. All right, we'll mark these holes. Get the design cut out. To also make sure we notch around this to be able to clear around those lines. Let's get this plate cut out and we'll weld it on. All right, got everything covered for not overspray, for splatter. That part's on there. Seems to be exactly what I want. Now time to make the windshield mount. Okay, let's see. Got the bracket made. I got everything unplugged down there as we get ready to fix this wiring mess. But the bracket turned out pretty good. It's not bolted down tight. The bolts are just through it, but yeah. I think that'll blend in nicely. Let's get the headlight mounted in there and start getting it wired up. And we have got the windshield mounted, and it is solid, moves the whole bike. And I went ahead and got the gauge pod mounted and wired in there. As you can see it, let's get this stupid, come on camera, there we go. Turn the key on. It powers up and is wired in. The wires is my next thing. I spent a good hour, maybe almost 2, shortening the wiring harness, cutting out the plugs and relocating them, because they were all just a bunch of wires all up in this area, which I've got them pretty tight. They're a mess now. I got to do some wire management to get them back, but I reloomed everything. Here's our blinker wires. They will be fixed. And then right here, I've got to get, this will be my indicator lights, and just make a plug for that. All right, let's get the indicator lights going, and then we'll get the tank back on, and y'all can judge whether it looks ridiculous or not, which I think it's going to look good. Unfortunately, it just doesn't do it justice on camera, just how crisp and clear those lights are and how they look. I am over the moon with how this turned out, and I hope you like it too. So now it's time to get this thing out on the trails, on the road. Let's put some miles on this bike, see exactly how it turns out, and what we think of the overall design at the end. This is definitely going to hold up as it moves the whole bike. That's going to be strong enough. But there's other things, as you saw, this bike was in pretty bad shape, and I've been so focused on this. I'm hoping I got everything right here. And that's what we're going to find out, and maybe the hard way. So that's going to be the most interesting thing here. So I really, really, really appreciate everybody for watching. Please follow along as we take this out, beat on it, just see how much it can hold up and what are our overall thoughts about the KLR in general. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you want to see more. And I hope to see you in the next video, which I won't see you, but you'll see me. Hope you see me in the next video.